going on, Jerome's? So training camp is on the horizon, and after the party is the after party, and after training camp is the 53-man roster cutdowns. And, of course, our way too early 53-man roster projection as well as practice squad projection, because we are not cowards here. But a couple surprises here. A couple UDFAs make the 53. Silas Bolden, Logan Brown, as well as we got Tyler Batty making the squads. Zamiah Vaughn. So maybe it's a little bit hefty, especially since the Vikings have a pretty damn good roster. So 4 UDFAs making the 53, a little bit spicy. I mean, practice squad's one thing, but a little bit spicy, right? Also, we have RB3 TBD. Not currently on the roster. But long story longer, so it's important to compare and contrast, right? Because even though we have the most accurate 53-man roster and practice squad projection in the known universe, and if you disagree with any one of the picks, you're wrong. How does it feel? It's important to take a look out, especially amongst the beat writers. Will Raggett, Sports Illustrated, who's really embedded himself in the market, is fantastic with all the sports, really good. Minnesota Vikings post minicamp 53-man roster projection. Just wanted to walk through here, and he only did his 53. Practice squad's not for everyone. But I just want to see how we stack up versus someone who's in practice every single day, for the media. Quarterbacks, 3 on the 53, so agree here. McCarthy, Howell, Rippon. I think that unless they change the rules again about the emergency third quarterback, I think that 3 QBs on the 53 is going to be in vogue, right? Just having that emergency QB3. Brosmer likely going to be on the practice squad. Running backs, Jones, Mason, CJ Ham, the fullback, and Ty Chandler in year 4. Xavier Scott, Trey Stewart are out. Probably one of them, or maybe even both of them, on the practice squad. And like I said, our spicy take was, I know all the Cam Akers jokes are there, but I just feel like with the plethora of really good running backs in this draft class, I think some of them are going to fall through the cracks after good showings in training camp, drill practices, preseason, and teams will try and get them onto the practice squad, but yoink. And Quase's got something going on there. Receivers, 6. Jefferson, Addison, Naylor, Felton, Tim Jones. Tim Jones, the special teamer. Rondale Moore, if he's healthy. Out, Deshaun, Bolden, Lucky Jackson, basically everyone else, right? So offensively, we did have Tim Jones on the practice squad. Same thing with Deshaun and Thayer Thomas. We got Silas Bolden making the 53 as a return specialist, but we'll see. But Tim Jones would be a practice squad elevations, given his involvement in special teams. Then, tight ends wise, pretty standard according to Hoyle. Hawkinson, Oliver, the draft pick, Gavin Bartholomew in the 6. And then not making is the UDFA tight ends, Urasek, Nesbitt, and the veteran Giovanni Ricci. Now, one or more of those guys could be on the practice squad. Offensive line, a little bit of a departure here. So he's got Blake Brandel staying, as well as Logan Brown not making it. Otherwise, we're pretty copacetic. And I just trying to think outside the box. I don't think that there's a world where the Vikings don't try to pay cut or cut Blake Brandel. And he's due, I think, $1.65 million fully guaranteed on his base. But Brandel, after starting last year, would he demote himself to being a non-starter and just being a depth piece? I don't know. Plus, I think Logan Brown's going to be a dude, man. I really think so. Defensively, so keeping 6. Allen, Hargrave, Phillips. I think those are your 3 starters. Jalen Redmond, TID, and Taki Taimani on the nose. Out would be LDR, likely on the practice squad. Harris, Travis Bell, Elijah Williams, Alexander Williams. Now, we got a little bit freaky on this one, where basically it was the same, except we swapped out Taki and LDR, but with the eye of having Taki being a practice squad elevation on those early weeks, or being added to the 53, because remember, Addison probably going to be facing that suspension, so the Vikings will have a roster spot open. Maybe they fill it with receiver, or maybe they sort of float a defensive lineman and keep him in the sphere. Plus, I think Elijah Williams stays in the sphere. I think he makes the practice squad. I think that he's been that impressive so far in limited run. We'll see what happens when the pads come on. Outside linebackers on the edge. Got Grenard, AVG, Diamond Dallas Turner, Gabe Murphy, Bo Richter, Tyler Batty out, Chaz Chambly out. One of them likely on the practice squad. For me, I think Batty makes the 53. I get spicy. Where Richter, Batty, Murphy, I think 2 make the squad, 1 makes the practice squad, and go from there. And then off balls. Keeping 4, Cashman, Pace, Wilson, Kobe. Everyone else punted. It's interesting that Raggets was also sort of out on Asamoah's in the contract year, and it's the same thing. Like, I feel like at a certain point, I mean, you just cut bait. And with the same 4, got Max Tooley on the practice squad. Of course, that could be Keys or Mousy as well, or hell, Could be Brian Osama. Who knows? Cornerbacks, actually safeties first. Harrison, Metellus, Theo Jackson, carry on my Jayward son, Michelle Powell out. It's pretty much the only way you go. I think Powell could make the practice squad because 17 spots on the practice squad, if you count the international pathway player, I mean, that's a lot. Actually is a lot. Cornerbacks wise, Murph, Rogers, Mekhi Blackman, Okudah, Tavier Thomas, Nudie, McLaughlin, out, Zamiah Vaughn, blah, 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 blah. So about the same, except we had Zamiah in for Okudah. Of course, Okudah being the veteran, getting off the canvas. I think that he could be there. But it's also could be a spot, too, where maybe Vaughn does enough where you're worried about trying to get him through waivers and onto a practice squad initially before you can protect him. And don't know. Specialists, or same as us, Reichard, Ryan Wright, Andrew Bagels, DePaula, and Oscar Chapman, the Aussie, oi, 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 international pathway punter from Auburn. But overall, like, pretty standard, pretty according to Hoyle. I wish he would have included some practice squad just because I know that some of the beat writers, notably Alec Lewis and Collar, like they have a couple of their favorite UDFAs, notably Zamiah Vaughn. So that's always what's really fun about this time of year when you get into training camp and these lowly drafted guys or UDFAs or guys that have been on the practice squad for a while just rise up and make a little something out of themselves. It's really good to see. But your thoughts are thoughts. We compare and contrast our 53-man roster projection with Sports Illustrated. Let us know your thoughts. Comment section. You guys are the best you know what to do. Skol. Production value.